So this lab is about Boyles Law, which is a mathematical relationship between volume of a gas and pressure. Today we're going to see how the volume of a gas affects the pressure. So these are detailed procedures for setting up for and collecting data for the Boyles Law lab. These procedures must be summarized in your lab logbook or lab notebook before coming to class on the day of the lab. Now we're going to prepare the gas pressure sensor and an air sample for data collection. First we're going to connect the gas pressure sensor to the LabQuest. So I've set up all of the vernier probes in a box like this. And all we're going to do is get out vernier LabQuest. We're going to find this syringe. We're going to need a gas pressure sensor. We're going to need a USB cable, which should be neatly tied up, and it isn't. This is the one you want. It's got the larger USB connection here and sort of a mini connection here. And those are the things we need to connect to the computer. So the first thing we need to do is just to connect the gas pressure sensor to the vernier LabQuest. And so we're going to look here on the end, and where it says channel 1, we're just going to connect it right there. With the 20 milliliter syringe disconnected from the gas pressure sensor, we're going to move the piston of the syringe until the front edge of the inside black ring is positioned at the 10 milliliter mark. Now here's what we mean by that. Here's the 20 milliliter syringe, and right here is 10 milliliters. If you look at this plunger in the syringe, you'll see there's like 3 different rings. We want the one that's closest to the end. We're going to move that syringe tip out until that ring that's closest to the tip up here is sitting directly on that 10 milliliter mark. Now we're going to attach the 20 milliliter syringe to the valve of the gas pressure sensor. This is the valve of the gas pressure sensor right here on the end. And so the syringe, with it extended out to that 10 milliliter mark, is going to be pushed right here and then turn so it's screwed in, but not real hard. You just want it kind of firm. Don't squeeze it too hard, you'll strip it out. Now we'll plug the cord from the gas pressure sensor into the top of the LabQuest. So once again, we're plugging it in right here into channel number 1. Connect the LabQuest to the computer with a USB cable. So this is the USB cable again. This is the end that's going to go into the computer, and this is the end that's going to plug into the LabQuest. So let's plug that into the LabQuest. Let me show you where it goes. Here, this bottom one here is the one that's designed for that USB cable. There's a USB connection here, but that's for another purpose. We want to plug into this bottom one here. And then this cable, the end of this cable, goes into the computer. The computer I'm working with is a laptop. You may have a desktop, but you're looking for a USB port like this and simply plug it in there. Plug the power cable for the LabQuest into the plug on the side of the lab table and into the LabQuest. So here's your LabQuest unit, and this is the power cable. Now I have mine just kind of wrapped up like this, and we're going to take and plug this small end right here into the side of the LabQuest. And there's a little plug right here that has sort of a long line and 3 dashes. That's the one it goes into right there. And this is the end that plugs into the wall. Turn the LabQuest on using the shiny oval button. Okay, so this is the shiny oval button you're going to turn on. You press that button and hold it, and it'll take a few minutes for it to boot up. Now we're going to set up for the data collection mode. The data collection mode procedures, A through I, will only work at the high school where my classes are based. If you are in a class at a different high school, your teacher will have to tell you how to open up the Vernier Logger Pro Boyles Law Lab. On the computer, click the Start button. Now your computer may look a little different than mine, but down here in the lower left-hand corner, there's the Start button. That's what we want to start with. Click there. Click the Student menu in the dialog box. I'm working with a teacher's computer, so I don't have a Student Start button, but if I click down here, I'll open up a dialog box, and that's what you're going to do, and you will find a connection to Student menu. Click Logger Pro in the second dialog box. Now I have Logger Pro right here, in the lower left-hand corner. If you look closely, you can see where I have Logger Pro. I'm going to click that, and I will be opening up Logger Pro in much the same way that you would when you were doing your lab. On the Logger Pro toolbar, click the Folder button. The Folder button looks like this. That Folder button is right up here in the upper left-hand corner. We're going to click that. Click My Computer. Click DHS Student Works on DHS FS01. Now on the teacher computer it looks a little bit different, but if you look right here, there's DHS Student Works. That's what I'm going to open up, and I'll be opening up pretty much what you're going to see. Click Vernier Lab, and I want to find Vernier Lab. So I have to scroll down here on the main screen until I see Vernier Labs, and there it is right there in the center, Vernier Labs. Click Chemistry with Vernier. Now I'm going to click Chemistry with Vernier, and then click Boyles Law. And I'm going to find Boyles Law, and it's opening up a screen for Boyles Law. Students who are working in a different school can follow these procedures now, starting with item J. Double-click the title and change the title to the format you've been taught in this class. The title should follow this format. The effect of, insert the independent variable, on the, insert the dependent variable, for, and then describe the stuff you're working with. Now the independent variable is the one that you are going to change. The dependent variable is the one that responds to that change. And the thing that you're working with is the stuff, the chemicals, the material you're working with. You have to figure out how to write your title based on this guideline. Change this title here at the top. Just double click on that and it's going to give you a dialog box where you can change the title right here. Now once I've fixed that title, I can click Done. And notice I didn't change anything. I expect you to do that. This is not the title you want to have in one of my classes. I also want to change the horizontal axis name down here at the bottom and the vertical axis name over here on the left. Right click on the horizontal axis label, then click on Column Options, and then click the latest volume or latest pressure and change the title of both axes to the appropriate form for this class. Your axes should be labeled in a way that indicates what is being measured, and units of measurement must be shown on the axis in parentheses. Okay, so if I go over here to what is a kind of table, it's not a complete table, but it's a kind of table, and click where the word volume is listed here, or double click it, I'll get this dialog box. And in this dialog box, then I can change the title that's on the horizontal axis. I want to be more complete about what we're measuring, not just volume, but what are we measuring the volume of. And then you also want to include the units of measurement in parentheses. Once I'm finished with that, I click Done and go to Pressure here at the top of this second column in the table to the left. Double click there and do the same thing. Change this to indicate we're measuring the pressure of something. Tell me what it is you're measuring the pressure of, and then include in parentheses the units of measurement there. And when you're done, press the word Done. Now alternatively, I can right click on the word volume on the horizontal axis and choose Column Options, and then click Latest Volume and do the same thing. And when I'm done, press the word Done and do the same thing over here on the right. Right click, Column Options, Latest Pressure, and then change how I've named the pressure axis. And press Done when I'm done. Now select OK. And stop now. Return to your desk and prepare to leave the classroom for a whole class activity in the hallway. We're now ready to start data collection. You're ready to collect pressure and volume data. Make sure you write your observations, including all the measurements, in your lab logbook or notebook. Make sure that what you write is clear and complete for the reader. It's not enough to enter the lab measurements into the computer. You must be able to recreate the entire lab from the information in your lab logbook, including recreating a table of data if necessary. Now it's time to click Collect on the Logger Pro screen to begin data collection. On the graph, when I'm ready to start collecting data, I'm going to press this green button kind of in the center across this toolbar at the top of the Logger Pro screen. I'm going to click Collect, and it's going to show me a dot in the middle of the screen where it's now registering what the pressure and volume comparison is. Collect the pressure and volume data. It's best for one person to operate the gas syringe and for another to operate the computer. Move the piston to position the front edge of the inside black ring at the 5 milliliter line on the syringe. Then hold the piston firmly in this position until the pressure value stabilizes on the LogaPro program on the computer. To collect the first data, I'm going to push the plunger in until the closest ring to the end over here is sitting right here on the 5 marker. And then press keep. I can now let go of the syringe and enter the volume I want to enter. Remember, we're going to add 0.8 milliliters to every volume measurement. Now, one of the problems is that there's actually an additional amount of air volume inside this gas pressure sensor, about 0.8 milliliters. To obtain the best data possible, you need to correct the volume readings from the syringe. Look at the syringe. Its scale reports its own internal volume. However, that volume is not the total volume of the trapped air in the system, since there is a little bit of space inside the pressure sensor. To account for the extra volume in the system, that is to say inside the gas pressure sensor, you need to add 0.8 milliliters to your syringe readings. For example, with a 5 milliliter syringe volume, the total volume would be 5.8 milliliters. It is this total volume that you will need for the analysis in this lab. When the pressure has stabilized, click Keep. Type 5.8 in the edit box. Press the Enter key to keep this data pair. Do not press or click the Stop button until you've collected all your data now. You can choose to redo a point by pressing the Escape key after clicking Keep, but before you enter a value. Now we're going to continue this same procedure for volumes of 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, and 19 milliliters. When you get all this data collected, now you're ready to click Stop. When I'm finished collecting data, I want to make sure I press the Stop button at the top, and then I want to arrange my graph so I get the best possible fit over the graph. If you notice here, all the data seems to be bunched up in the upper right. I'll move my mouse down here to the left, and you can see how the mouse on the screen kind of changes appearance as I put it just under the horizontal axis. That allows me to pull everything to the left so that my data points are close to spreading out in the available space. I can do that at the top too and arrange so this first dot here on the left is kind of near the top corner but not right at it. I can do the same thing over here. Pull it down a bit. Pull it down a bit and then pull it back away from the corner a bit. And that way the data is spread out over the graph to the greatest possible degree, and I can kind of see the pattern I'm looking for. We're now ready to examine the graph of pressure versus volume. Based on this graph, decide what kind of mathematical relationship you think exists between these two variables, direct or inverse, and then see if you made the right choice when you were doing the pre-lab. First thing we're going to do, click the Curve Fit button, and that button looks like this. So we're going to go up here to the top and look for this icon. If you mouse over that, it will say Curve Fit. Click that, and here's the dialog box we're looking for. Now we're going to choose Variable Power, which is Y equals AX, superscript N, from the list at the lower left. Enter the power value N in the Power Edit box that represents the relationship shown in the graph. In other words, type 1 if direct, -1 if inverse. I want to find Variable Power. There it is. Variable Power is right there. I want to click that. Change the power to either +1 or -1. +1 is for a direct relationship. -1 is for an indirect or inverse relationship. So now click Try Fit. I want to try fit and look at it, and that's what we're looking for, something that looks like it's fitting the pattern of data. It's not perfect. No experimental data is ever perfect. Nature doesn't behave that way. A best fit curve will be displayed on the graph. If you made the correct choice, the curve should match up well with the points. If the curve does not match up well, try a different exponent and click try fit again. When the curve has a good fit with the data points, then click OK. Once we've got what looks like a pretty good fit, we're going to press OK. And this is our best fit line or curve. In this case, it's a curve. I want to move this box here, which is explaining what's going on, off of the curve so I can kind of see what's going on. And the graph is ready to export now. Now save your completed graph to your personal flash drive. You can download and use Logger Pro software on your home computer by obtaining the link and password information from your teacher. Now open your Google folder. Open your Boyles Law spreadsheet. Highlight and copy the data, which is the measurements, in the Vernier Logger Pro table that you just created. Click Control-C on your keyboard to copy the data. So to collect the data that's in this Logger Pro table here and export it to a spreadsheet that I have prepared, I'm going to highlight the data and just click Control, hold down the Control button and click C for copy. Now I can go to the Google spreadsheet I prepared for this. It's called Boyles Law spreadsheet. Find not the top left cell here, but the one just under that. Click Control-V on your keyboard to paste the data from Logger Pro. Right-click and click Paste. And all of my data from the lab now is in those cells. And the reason I left these top two cells blank is because you have to have a column label in each one of these. Now don't forget, column labels have to have a description of what's in the column, and like the graph, it has to have the units of measurement in parentheses. Now I'm ready to move this table to the Google reporting document, the post-lab report. I'm going to highlight all the cells here. I'm going to click Control-C. I'm going to go to the post-lab document, and under the word table here, I'm going to leave a couple of spaces at the top, hit enter a couple times, and then hit Control-V, and it's going to paste the table there. Now the table is still incomplete. I have to have a table label at the top, properly labeled, properly written. I also have to put in column labels, which describe what is in the columns and what units of measurement are used for the data in those columns. Now back to the graph. In order to copy the graph, and remember, this graph has not been set up properly. I haven't actually changed the title, nor have I changed the axes labels. You will have to do that. Now click on the Vernier Logger Pro graph. Click Control-C on your keyboard to copy that graph. Click over here in the white area to the left, right-click, and click Copy. Open your Boyles Law post-lab report in your Google folder. Then I want to go to the reporting document in Google, find where it says Graph, click Control-V on your keyboard to paste the graph into your report. Leave a little bit of space at the top, right-click and paste, or you could hit Control-V to paste as well. And there's the graph. It's ready to finish. Now when you paste your graph, you're not done. At home, as homework, you've still got to put in a figure label at the bottom of the graph. So you notice the cursor here is just to the lower right of the graph. I want to hit Enter, and now I can put in the figure label underneath. Don't forget that your post-lab report is not complete until you put in column labels, a table label, a figure label under the graph, and you finish the analysis and conclusion sections of the report. And don't forget to put your name and date on your work.